ಸಂಸಾರದಾವ ನಲಲಿದಲೋಕ ಪ್ರಣಯ ಕಾರುಣ್ಯ ಘನ ಘನಾತ್ವಂ ಪ್ರಾಪ್ತಸ್ಯ ಕಲ್ಯಾಣ ಗುಣಾನವಸ್ಯ ವಂದೇ ಗುರೋ ಶ್ರೀಚರಣಾರವಿಂದಂ महाप्रभो कीर्तन नित्य गीता वादित्रमाद्यान् मनसो रसेन रोमाञ्चकं पाश्रुतरङ्गभाजो वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् श्रीविग्रहाराधननित्यनाना शृङ्गारतन्मन्दिरमाजनादौ युक्तस्य भक्तं शनियञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् चतुर्विधा श्री भगवत्प्रसाद स्वादन्न तृप्तान् हरिभक्तसङ्गान् कृत्वैव तृप्तिं भजतः सदैव वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् श्रीराधिका माधवयोरपारा माधुर्यलीला गुणरूपनाम्ना प्रतीक्षणास्वादनलोलुपस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् निकुञ्जयूनो रतिकेलिसिद्धै यायालिभिर्युक्तिरपेक्षणीया तत्रातिदक्ष्यात् अतिवल्लभस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् साक्षाधरित्वेन समस्तशास्त्रै उक्तस्तथा भाव्यत एव सद्भिः किन्तु प्रभोया प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् यस्य प्रसादात् भगवत्प्रसादो यस्य प्रसादान्न गति कुतोऽपि ध्यायां स्तुवं तस्य यशस्त्रीसन्ध्यं वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमाते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hariharaya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namah, Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namah. Gopal Govinda Rama Sri Madhusudana, Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohana, Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Sita, Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita, Sri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha, Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha, Hariharaya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namah, Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namah. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Nila Madhav Radha Nila Madhav Sri Radhe, Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha, Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha, Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha, Jayo Bhakta Prahlad. Jayo Sita Ram, Jayo Lakshmana Hanuman, Jayo Sita Ram, Jayo Lakshmana Hanuman. Jayo Jagannatha, Jayo Baladeva, Jayo Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Namaste Narashinhaya. Prahalada Lada Daine. Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha. Shilatankana Kalaye. Ito na Singha Parato na Singha. Yato Yato Yamitato na Singha. Bahir na Singha Ridahi na Singha. Narsingha Madim Sharanam Prapadye. Tavakara Kamala Varenakam Advuta Singham Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Tava Advuta Singh Jaya Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha Lakshmi Narasingha Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha Jaya Narsingha Dev Jaya Narsingha Dev Narsingha Dev Jaya Narsingha Dev Jaya Narsingha Dev Jaya Narsingha Dev Narsingha Dev Jaya Narsingha Dev Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki jai Prahlad Maharaj ki jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi
Vrindaya Tulasidevaya Priyaya Keshavasacha Vishnu Bhakti Pade Devi Satyavadaya Namo Namaha Vrindaya Tulasidevaya Priyaya Keshavasacha Vishnu Bhakti Pade Vrindaya Tulasidevaya Priyaya Keshavasacha Vishnu Bhakti Pade Devi Satyavadaya Namo Namaha Vrindaya Tulasidevaya Priyaya Keshavasacha Vishnu Bhakti Pade Vrindaya Tulasidevaya Priyaya Keshavasacha Vishnu Bhakti Pade Devi Satyavadaya Namo Namaha Vrindaya Tulasidevaya Priyaya Keshavasacha Vishnu Bhakti Pade Satyavadaya Vrinda Devi Tulsi Maharani ki jai.
Namo Namaha Tulasi Krishna Preyasi Namo Namaha Radha Krishna Seva Pabo Ei Abhilashi Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Ei Abhilashi Namo Namaha Tulasi तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः। जे तो मारा शरण लोए तारा वांछा पूर्ण होए। कृपा कोरी कोरो तारे वृंदावन वासी। मोरा बिलास बिलास कुंज दियो वास। नयने हरिबो सदा जुगल रूप राशि। एई निवेदन धार सखीर अनुगाता कोरो। सेवाधिकार दिए कोरो निज दासी। दीना कृष्ण दासे कोए ये न मोरा होए। श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेमे सदाए न बासी। श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेमे सदाए न बासी। नमो नमः। तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः। यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्याधिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे। यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्याधिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे। यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जयो तुलसी महारानी, जयो तुलसी महारानी, जयो तुलसी महारानी, जयो तुलसी महारानी. जयो वृंदे देवी, जयो वृंदे देवी, जयो वृंदे देवी, जयो वृंदे देवी. निताय गौरा हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, निताय गौर हरि बोल. श्री वृंदाय तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवताय नमो नमः. श्री वृंदाय तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णु भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवताय नमो नमः. श्री वृंदाय तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवताय नमो नमः. श्री वृंदा देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय.
Bestow mercy upon him and make him a resident of Vrindavana. My desire is to also grant me a residence in the precious groves of Shri Vrindavana town. Thus within my vision I shall always behold the beautiful person Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me follow a Carol Dancer's virtue. Please give me the privileged devotional service and make me your own maid servant. This very fallen lowly servant of Krishna prays. May I always swim the love Shri Radha and Govinda. Srimati Tulasi Maharani ki jai. There are 10 fences in the matter of chanting holy names that should be avoided, and they are as follows. 1. To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for the propagation of holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider named demigods like Lord Shiva or Brahma to be equal to independent named Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the order of spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Veda literature or literature pursuing the Vedic version. 5. To consider the glory of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. To give some interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on strength of chanting the holy name. 8. To consider chanting Hare Krishna one's auspiciously choose the activities, offering the Veda the fruity activities, karma, kanda. 9. To instruct a faithless person about the glory of the holy name. 10. To not complete faith in the chanting holy names, and to maintain material attachments in understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve desired success. Krishna Prema. Now let us offer most humble obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are just as high trees who can fulfill to everyone, therefore compassion for the fallen conditioned soul. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam Ki Jai. Jeto Darpana Marjanam Pavamaha Davagni Nirvapanam Shriya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavatu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purnarmita Sadhanam Sarvatmasnapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatra Pita Niyamita Smaranena Kalaha Etadishi Tava Kripa Bhagavam Mamapi Durudevami Disham Iha Janina Nurakaha Trinata Pi Sunichena Tarora Pi Sahishnuna Amanina Manatena Kirtanya Sada Harihi Na Thanam Na Janam Na Sundarim Kavitam Va Jagadishakamaye Mama Jammani Jamanishvare Bhavata Bhaktir Haituki Toi Ayi Nanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mang Vishame Pavam Pudo Kripaya Tava Pada Pankaja Sthitaturi Satisham Vichintaya Nayanam Galadashurudaraya Vadanam Gudgada Rudaya Gira Pulakai Nichitam Vapurkada Tavanama Grahane Pavishati Yuga Itam Nimishena Chakshusha Pravisha Itam Shunya Itam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virahe Name Ashri Shava Padaratam Pinnastumam Adarshanam Marmahatam Karotuva Yatha Tatha Va Vidatatu Lampato Mat Prana Nathastu Sa Eva Naparaha Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam Ki Jai. Glory to Shri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes fire of conditional life, or repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan moon is the prime benediction humanity in large because it spreads a rays and benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases ocean transcendent bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone grants all benediction human beings, and thus you have hundreds of millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have vested all your transcendental energies. They are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness enables us to easily approach you by holy names, but I'm so unfortunate I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than a straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Sanhamarjananda, I'm an eternal servitor. Yet somehow I fall into this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of Adam to your lotus feet. Oh my Lord, while my eyes be decked with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant the holy name, while my voice choke up, while the hairs of my body stand and end a recitation of your name. Oh Govinda, feeling of separation and consider the moment to be like a great millennium. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and I shall remain so if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken heart by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam Ki Jai. Shri Mangala Charanam Prayers Ki Jai. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshum Litam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurung Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahakana Ragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhuitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamsha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhuttale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Sarasate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachate Desha Tarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhuttale Srimate Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Iti Namane Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripaptaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayine Prabhave Namaha Madhuryo Chala Premadya Shri Rupa Nukha Bhaktita Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Mutaye Dinatarine Rupa Nuga Viruta Pasiddhanta Dvanta Harine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Saksha Vairagya Mutaye Vipalambara Sambodhe Padam Bhujayate Namaha Namo Bhaktivinodaya Sachidananda Namane Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gaura Virbhava Bhumistvam Nirdishta Sajana Priya Vaishnava Savabhoma Shri Jaganathaya Te Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhishcha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha Panchatatvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinapanto Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Jaitam Surator Pango Mama Manda Materkati Masarvasva Padam Pojo Radha Madana Mohano Divya Vindaranya Kalpajamadaha Shimadrana Gara Sinhasanasto Shrimad Radha Shila Govinda Devo Prishtaripi Sivimano Smarami Shriman Rasa Rasarampi Vamsi Vata Tatastita Karsham Vinu Suner Gopir Gopinata Shri Yestunaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasade Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Shri Brahma Samhita ki jai. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadiradi Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam Chintamani Prakara Sadma Sukalpa Riksha Laksha Vritesa Surabira Vipaliantam Lakshmi Sahasra Satasam Brahma Sevyamanam Govinda Madhi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Venum Kwananda Maravinda Dalayataksham Parhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandarpa Kotika Maniya Vishesha Subham Govinda Madhi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Malola Chandrakala Sadvana Malya Vamsi Ratnam Giblam Pranayan Veli Kala Vilasam Shamam Chibanga Lalita Nita Prakasam Govinda Madhi Purisham Tamaham Bhajam Angani Yasya Sakalandriya Vrittimanti Pasyanti Pantika Yanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadujvala Vigrahasya Govinda Madhi Purisham Jami Anutam Trutamanati Manantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navyovanam Cha Vedesa Durlabam Atma Bhakto Govinda Madhi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Pantastakoti Satavatsara Sampragamyo Vayora Tapi Manasomani Pungamanam So Pyasiyat Prapadasimya Vichintya Tatve Govinda Madhi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ekopya Sora Chayatum Jagadanda Kotim Yes Chakti Rasti Jagadanda Chayayadanta Andanta Rasta Paramanu Chayantarastam Govinda Madhi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yad Bhava Bhavita Dio Manajastataiva Samprapya Rupa Mahima Sanayanabusa Supta Yameva Pratitaistuvanti Govinda Madhi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yad Bhava Bhavita Dio Manajastataiva Samprapya Rupa Mahima Sanayanabusa Sukta Yameva Nigamai Pratitastuvanti Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasatpati Bhavita Bista Birya Even Jurupa Daya Kalabi Golok Even Visata Kilatma Bhutto Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bajami Pramanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santaksa Devi Desu Vilogayanti Yam Shama Sundarama Chintya Gunaswarupam Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bajami Ramadi Murti Sukalani Menatistan Anavatar Makarod Bhuvanesakintu Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramam Pamam Yo Govinda Mahadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the Supreme Godhead. He has an eternal, blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, and he is the prime cause of all causes.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor who is tending the cows, yielding all desire, in abodes built with spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is adept in playing on his flute, with blooming eyes like lotus petals, with head decked with peacock's feather, with the figure of beauty tinged with hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, round whose neck is swinging a garland of flowers, beautified with the moon locket, whose two hands are adorned with the flute and jeweled ornaments, who always revels in pastimes of love, whose graceful threefold bending form of Shyamasundara is eternally manifest. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose transcendental form is full of bliss, truth, substantiality, and is thus full of the most dazzling splendor. Each of the limbs of that transcendental figure possesses in himself the full fledged functions of all the organs, and eternally sees, maintains, and manifests the infinite universes, both spiritual and mundane. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is inaccessible to the Vedas but obtainable by pure unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subject to decay, he is without a beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning and the eternal Purusha. Yet he is the person possessing the beauty of blooming youth. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis who aspire after the transcendental and betake themselves to pranayama by drilling the respiration, or by the jnanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahman by the process of elimination of the mundane, extending over thousands of millions of years. He is an undifferentiated entity, as there is no distinction between potency and the possessor thereof. In his work of creation of millions of worlds, his potency remains inseparable. All the universes exist in him, and he is present in his fullness in every one of the atoms that are scattered throughout the universe at one and at the same time. Such is the primeval Lord whom I adore. I adore the same Govinda, the primeval Lord, in whose praise men, who are imbued with devotion, sing the mantra suktas told by the Vedas by gaining their appropriate beauty, greatness, thrones, conveyances, and ornaments. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, residing in his own realm, Goloka, with Radha resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of the ecstatic potency possessed of the 64 artistic activities, in the company of her confidants, Sakis, embodiments of the extensions of her bodily form, permeated and vitalized by his ever blissful spiritual rasa. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Shyamasundara, Krishna himself with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts with the eye of devotion tinged with salve of love. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who manifested himself personally as Krishna and the different avatars in the world in the forms of Rama, Nrisimha, Vamana, etc., as his subjective portions.
Very good. Shrimad Bhagavatam, Grantaraj Ki Jai, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presta Bhutale Shrimata Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tilamini Namaste Saraswati Devi Guruvani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sudyavadi Paskatya Satarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we're continuing in Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 9, Canto 3, chapter 9. So you want to look that up. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 9. When we left off, we did some parts of Chapter 9, but we'll start it again. And in the last verse of Chapter 8, it says that it says, Lord Brahma, thus being surcharged with the mode of passion, because inclined to create, became inclined to create. And after seeing the 5 causes of creation indicated by the personality of Godhead, he began to offer his respectful prayers on the path of the creative mentality. Well, we didn't answer that question. I mean, I don't know if someone asked me. I don't think so. What are the 5 causes of creation? Okay, so that is explained in chapter 3. Oh, sorry, Canto 3, chapter 6, verse number 2. And the 5 causes are the 23 ingredients of matter, which is considered the total material energy, or Mahatattva, and time, or represented by Kali or Durga Mata, and then it is Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and Kshirodakshay Vishnu. Those are the 5 causes of creation. This is explained in Canto 3, Chapter 6, verse number 2. Okay. So now we're ready to go on Canto 3, Chapter 9, Brahma's Prayers for Creative Energy. And text number 1. So somebody can read.
Just the translation and purport, Maharaj? Verse.
Yeah.
Okay. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Brahma said, "O my Lord, today, after many, many years of penance, I have come to know about you. Oh, how unfortunate the embodied living entities are that they are unable to know your personality. My Lord, you are the only knowable object because there is nothing supreme beyond you. If there is anything supposedly superior to you, it is not the absolute. You exist as the supreme by exhibiting the creative energy of matter." Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The highest peak of the ignorance of living entities who are conditioned by material bodies is that they are unaware of the supreme cause of the cosmic manifestation. Different people have different theories regarding the supreme cause, but none of them are genuine. The only supreme cause is Vishnu, and the intervening impediment is the illusory energy of the Lord. The Lord has employed His wonderful material energy in manifesting many, many wonderful distractions in the material world, and the conditioned souls, illusioned by the same energy, are thus unable to know the supreme cause. The most stalwart scientists and philosophers, therefore, cannot be accepted as wonderful. They only appear wonderful because they are instruments in the hands of the illusory energy of the Lord. Under illusion, the general mass of people deny the existence of the Supreme Lord and accept the foolish products of illusory energy as supreme. One can know the supreme cause, the personality of Godhead, by the causeless mercy of the Lord. which is bestowed upon the Lord's pure devotee like Brahma and those in his disciplic succession. By the acts of penance only was Lord Brahma able to see the Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, and by realization only he understood could he understand the Lord as he is. Brahma was extremely satisfied upon observing the magnificent beauty and opulence of the Lord, and he admitted that nothing can be comparable to him. Only by penance can one appreciate the beauty and opulence of the Lord, and when one is acquainted with that beauty and opulence, he is no longer attracted by any other. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 2.49, Param Društva Nivartate. Foolish human beings who do not endeavor to investigate the supreme beauty and opulence of the Lord are here condemned by Brahma. It is imperative that every human being try for such knowledge, and if anyone does not do so, his life is spoiled. Anything that is beautiful, opulent in the material sense is enjoyed by those living entities who are like crows. Crows always engage in picking at the rejected garbage.
See, he's talking about crows.
Whereas the white ducks do not mix with the crows. Rather, they take pleasure in transparent lakes with lotus flowers surrounded by beautiful orchards. Both crows and ducks are undoubtedly birds by birth, but they are not of the same feather.
Yeah. Birds of a feather stick together. So the crows stick together and the white ducks stick together, but they don't mix. So devotees should not mix with non-devotees. Otherwise you become a non-devotee. Go ahead.
Next verse. Translation by Srila Prabhupada.
Any questions about that verse?
No.
You can see how much Brahma went through in order to become conscious of Krishna. And now he's explaining, look, this is the real goal of life. Don't waste your time doing other things. Krishna is so wonderful, but there's a lot to learn about him. You have to spend all your time trying to understand your relationship with the Lord.
One clarification. Here one line says, only by penance can one appreciate the beauty and opulence. So it is because of the causeless mercy as well, right? In the first line it says, one can know the supreme cause, the personality of Godhead, by the causeless mercy of the Lord. So it's a combination of both, like mercy and then penance.
Yeah, I mean, the Lord is merciful, but especially if you undergo, let's say, some kind of tapasya to understand Him and serve Him. So our tapasya, due to Lord Chaitanya's mercy, is not difficult. Look at all the tapasya that Brahma did. Right? He went through a lot of, let's say, severe trouble. But we simply chant, dance, feast, hear nice things, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, go on Sankirtan, have festivals. Does that sound like misery? But it is purifying us. So tapasya, or penance is trying to rectify mistakes that one made in the past by accepting difficult tapasya. So, obviously Brahma had a previous life. He made some mistakes. So, now he has a chance to rectify all that by doing a severe type of tapasya for 311 trillion years. We don't have to do that. So if we understand what Lord Chaitanya has done, then we see that he is the most munificent, the most merciful avatar of all time. He's made it very easy. And what our tapasya is actually full of joy. Right? Even waking up early, bathing, all these things. It's actually very good. And it's actually pleasurable when you get used to it. It's just like if you ask a child to wake up early, they don't like it. But if you train them, then it becomes a habit and they don't complain anymore. So we have not been regulated due to bad association. But as soon as we become regulated through Krishna consciousness, which is what Prabhupada did. When we joined ISKCON, you had to wake up early, you had to take a bath early in the morning, put on clean clothes, come down, have Mangala Aarti. So it was difficult for some people in the beginning, but quickly you adapt to it and then you enjoy it. Because it's enjoyable, it's not actually a bad thing. Okay, so to understand what Lord Chaitanya did means that you become very advanced spiritually. He made it very easy to be Krishna conscious in this age. But of course, people don't want to do it. They're recalcitrant. They find all kinds of excuses why they can't do it. And Brahma is talking about that, when he says that my Lord, you are the only knowable object because there is nothing supreme beyond you. If there is anything supposedly superior to you, it is not the absolute. You exist as the supreme by exhibiting the creative energy of matter. So here, Brahma, he's seeing Krishna, he's associating with him, so he can talk like this. So we should take his words very seriously. Okay, go ahead.
Second. Translation. The form which I see is eternally freed from material contamination and has advented to show mercy to the devotees as a manifestation of internal potency. This translation is the origin of
this incarnation.
This incarnation is the origin of many other incarnations, and I am born from the lotus flower grown from your navel home. Purport.
So you see, again, the form which I see, Brahma is actually seeing Krishna. And this is the supreme mercy. When we become serious about Krishna consciousness, we'll be able to see Krishna. Right? It's just a question of becoming serious and following the rules and regulations. You'll be able to see Krishna, just like Brahma is. Brahma is a jiva like us. So that means we can also do this. Okay, go ahead.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The three deities, Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara, Shiva, the executive heads of the three modes of material nature, passion, goodness and ignorance, are all generated from Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, who is described herein by Brahma. From the Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu, many Vishnu many Vishnu incarnations expand at different ages in the duration of the cosmic manifestation. They are expanded only for the transcendental happiness of the pure devotees. The incarnations of Vishnu, who appear at different ages and times, are never to be compared to the conditioned souls. The Vishnu Tattvas are not to be compared to deities like Brahma and Shiva, nor are they on the same level. Anyone who compares them is called Pashandi or infidel. Tamasha, mentioned herein, is the material nature, and the spiritual nature has a completely separate existence from Tamaha. Therefore, spiritual nature is called avabodha rasa or avarodha rasa. Avarodha means that which completely nullifies. In the transcendence, there is no chance of material contact by any means. Brahma is the first living being, and therefore he mentions his birth from the lotus flower generated from the abdomen of Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu.
Yes, so Brahma has a very specific, extraordinary birth. Any questions about that? Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Haribol.
In this purport, it says the three deities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, the executive heads of the three modes of the material nature, passion, goodness, and ignorance, are all generated from Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu. What is the difference between the three in the Vishnu in the three deities and the Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu?
Well, Vishnu is not a demigod like Brahma. Brahma is a Jiva. Shiva is, and he's a demigod. Shiva is a special, very special position. He has some existence in the spiritual world as well as in the material world. So he's superior to Brahma, although he appears to be a son of Brahma. And but Vishnu is the Supreme Personality Godhead. He's not a demigod like Brahma and Maheshwara. So, but this Vishnu is coming from Garbhodakshay Vishnu. So you have Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and Kshirodakshay Vishnu. So let's take a look. It says here, it says the three deities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, Shiva, the executive heads of the three modes of material nature, passion, goodness, and ignorance, are all generated from Garbhodakshay Vishnu, who is described herein by Brahma. From the Kshirodakshay Vishnu, many Vishnu incarnations expand at different ages in the duration of the cosmic manifestation. They are expanded only for the transcendental happiness of the pure devotees. The incarnations of Vishnu who appear at different ages and times are never to be compared to the conditioned souls. There it is right there. That's the difference. Expansions of Vishnu, whether it's Vishnu as next to Brahma and Shiva, or Kshirodakshay Vishnu, who's the source of all avatars. They're all transcendental. They're not mundane. Right, and there it is right there. The incarnations of Vishnu who appear at different ages and times are never to be compared to the conditioned souls. The Vishnu tattvas are not to be compared to deities like Brahma and Shiva. Okay? Because Shiva is slightly influenced by the mode of ignorance, and Brahma is slightly influenced by the mode of passion. So the Lord Vishnu is not influenced. Now, how do we know that? Well, once the Devas wanted to solve put to rest the controversy that who's the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Is it Brahma? Is it Shiva? Or is it Vishnu? So they chose one of their devotees, one of their demigods, to go and study and associate with Brahma and Shiva and Vishnu and decide which one is actually the Supreme Personality Godhead. So after doing that, Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that was said a long time ago because the Devas themselves wanted to have validation of who is actually transcendental. And therefore, you can see how ignorant people are. Even though that is part of the Vedic literature, it's right in the Srimad Bhagavatam, still people are arguing today who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is how ignorant people are. Because they avoid Shastra and they just keep arguing incessantly, generation after generation. Okay, so.
Maharaj, just a clarification question. Is it right to, or like, is it fair for me to understand that the Vishnu in the Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara is not just one person, but it is more like a Vishnu Tattva, that it is more about the incarnations of Vishnu, that is called as Vishnu?
No, it is one person, but he's transcendental. He's not subject to the modes of material nature. Everything is personal in the spiritual, in Krishna consciousness. So he is a person. He's a unique person. But there are millions and billions of Vishnu incarnations, right? Not just one. But each one is perfectly transcendental, not subject to the laws of material nature. Okay, let's go to text 3.
Thank you, Maharaj. You want me to just read the translation, Maharaj?
Yeah.
Okay. O my Lord, I do not see a form superior to your present form of eternal bliss and knowledge. In your impersonal Brahman effulgence in the spiritual sky, there is no occasional change and no deterioration of internal potency. I surrender unto you because, whereas I am proud of my material body and senses, your Lordship is the cause of the cosmic manifestation, and yet you are untouched by matter. Purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 18.55, Bhaktya mam abhignati yavanyas chasmi tattvataha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead can only be partially known, and only by the process of devotional service to the Lord. Lord Brahma became aware that the Supreme Lord Krishna has many, many eternal, blissful forms of knowledge. He has described such expansions of the Supreme Lord Govinda in his Brahma Samhita 5.33 as follows. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord who is non-dual and infallible. Infallible. He is the original cause of all causes, even though he expands in many, many forms. Although he is the oldest personality, he is ever youthful, unaffected by old age. The Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be known by the academic wisdom of the Vedas. One has to approach the devotee of the Lord to understand him.
There it is. So simply reading the Vedas, it's good, but you probably won't understand. But hearing it spoken by genuine devotees and then asking questions, you'll be able to understand. Go ahead.
The only way to understand the Lord as he is by devotional service to the Lord, or by approaching the devotee of the Lord who always has the Lord in his heart. By devotional perfection, one can understand that the impersonal Brahma Jyoti is only a partial representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, and that the 3 Purusha expansions in the material creation are his plenary portions. In the spiritual sky of the Brahma Jyoti, there is no change of various kalpas or millenniums, and there are no creative activities in the Vaikuntha worlds. The influence of time is conspicuous by its absence. The rays of the transcendental body of the Lord, the unlimited Brahma Jyoti, are undeterred by the influence of material energy. In the material world also, the initial creator is the Lord Himself. He brings about the creation of Brahma, who becomes the subsequent creator empowered by the Lord.
So you see that the influence of time in the material world is understood by its passage. The influence of time in the spiritual world is understood by its non-passage. Because there's what you would call the eternal present in the spiritual world. So you notice time by its non-passage in the spiritual world. And you notice time by its passage in the material world. So it's another major difference between the two.
There are no creative activities in the Vaikuntha.
Yeah, because everyone's eternal. They don't have to create anything. Everybody's eternal.
Does that mean like the kind of creativity that we deal with in the spiritual world, there is no experience of that, or is there?
Well, when you talk about creative activities, it's usually like producing living beings. They don't have to do that because everyone's eternal, right? There's no, pregnancy and birth and growth and all that stuff. And they don't have to create everything. Everything is already eternal. So the mountains, the trees, the grass, the living entities, they don't have to create anything. It's all perfect.
Next one.
Yeah?
This present form or any transcendental form expanded by the Supreme Personality Godhead Sri Krishna is equally auspicious for all the universe, since you have manifested this eternal personal form upon whom your devotees meditate. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Those who are destined to be dispatched to the path of hell neglect your personal form because of speculating on material topics.
See, that's exactly what people are doing today. That's what they teach in school also, speculating on material topics and neglecting the personal form of the Supreme Personality Godhead. That's why children are being misled, and we're being misled, because there's no serious attempt to understand the transcendental form of Krishna. Rather, people are just speculating on different material topics. So, you can see this. It's all present in every part of material culture today. People are just speculating on material topics all the time. In politics, in weather, in the business world, in relationships, in sports, on the stock market. It's all speculation, and it's taking up everybody's time. They're just wasting their whole life talking about speculative things that deflects the mind from focusing on Krishna. So it says, those who are destined to be dispatched to the path of hell neglect your personal form because of speculating on material topics. That's a very profound statement. Okay, so you didn't read the purport, right?
No.
Go ahead.
Regarding the personal and impersonal features of the Supreme Absolute Truth, the personal forms exhibited by the Lord in his different plenary expansions are all for the benediction of all the universes. The personal form of the Lord is also worshipped in meditation as Supersoul, Paramatma, but the impersonal Brahmajyoti is not worshipped. Persons who are addicted to the impersonal feature of the Lord, whether in meditation or otherwise, are all pilgrims to hell because, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 12.5, impersonalists simply waste their time in mundane mental speculation because they are addicted to more to false arguments than to reality. Therefore, the association of the impersonalists is condemned herewith by Brahma.
Well, look at this. How many impersonalists are there in India?
Many.
You see, it's a hopeless situation. Majority of people in India are impersonalists, being misled by all these pseudo gurus, and therefore it's a very hopeless situation. But the devotees have to preach. Now you see, look at all the purports that Prabhupada's writing here. These are complicated purports. These are complicated verses. And you can see how thorough the development of the philosophy of Krishna consciousness is just by the life of Brahma. We're talking about Brahma and every one, almost all of these first three cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So, and he went through tremendous effort to be able to be the secondary creator of the material world. He did something that none of us would be able to do. But he's a jiva like us, so that means there's the potential that we could do this, because he's a jiva just like us. But look at all the trouble he went through in order to please Krishna and to be able to serve Krishna. This is what, but now you can understand the supreme mercy of Lord Chaitanya, who's made it much easier, much, much easier. And if we don't accept this, then it's because we're completely in Maya. Maya has taken over our life completely. We can't accept. Now, when you walk around and see different people engaged in all kinds of mundane discussions and mundane activities, then you suddenly realize how much illusion there is in this world, and how these people are just on the slippery slope of going to birth, death, old age, and disease, and not being able to go back to Godhead, because they're just wasting their time on speculation. And speculation includes, sports and the economy, politics, war, sex, all these things. It's just preoccupying the minds of people, and they're completely separated from Krishna. No time for Krishna. Okay, good.
All the plenary expansions of the personality of Godhead are equally potent, as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita 546. The Lord expands himself as the flames of a fire expand one after another. Although the original flame, or Sri Krishna, is accepted as Govinda, the Supreme Person, all other expansions, such as Rama, Nrsimha, and Varaha, are as potent as the original Lord. All such expanded forms are transcendental. In the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is made clear that the Supreme Truth is eternally uncontaminated by material touch. There is no jugglery of words and activities in the transcendental kingdom of the Lord. All the Lord's forms are transcendental, and such manifestations
all the Lord's forms
are transcendental.
Right? All the Vishnu forms are transcendental. Go ahead.
And such manifestations are ever identical. The particular form of the Lord exhibited to a devotee is not mundane, even though the devotee may retain material desire, nor is it manifest under the influence of material energy, as is foolishly considered by the impersonalist. Impersonalists who consider the transcendental forms of the Lord to be products of the material world are surely destined for hell.
Howdy bo. They're on a fast track to go to hell. That's why you should never associate with impersonalists. You can try and preach to them, and sometimes you may be able to convince them. Yes?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I wanted to share one conversation I had with my friend because it's related to this one. She's a Mayavad, she follows Sadhguru. And she told me once she went to various spiritual masters and she said she really likes Sadhguru because everybody else Sadhguru.
Yeah.
She said everybody else asks you to give up on things, whereas Sadhguru never asked me to give up on anything. And I feel like he talks about life. You have to enjoy life. That is what it is for. And you don't have to give up on anything. And that's why she likes that path.
I had a priest like that. Christian priest. I used to live with him in the same. We shared a room together when I was a student. And he told me, he said, look, God, if you can't enjoy this world, you can't go back to heaven and enjoy heaven. So he became a bishop. It was a high position in the church. And then he fell down because he was trying to enjoy this world. So Sadhguru, he's a clever guy. He is basically feeding the false ego of people. He knows how to do that. Just like it's not only him. I mean, you had the other phony who got busted. He used to say also, don't try and control sex. Engage in all the sex you want. Eventually you'll give it up.
Osho Maharaj, Osho?
Yeah, right. The Osho is after he became a Buddhist. His name was not Osho. What was it? Yeah, Rajneesh, yeah. No, Bhagavan Rajneesh. Right. So, therefore, his ashrams were like bordels. They were like sex communities, and they practiced what was called Reichian philosophy. He borrowed that from Reich. Reich was a German philosopher, not a real philosopher, but a philosopher, and he said never reject sex. So if someone asks you, so in every one of his communities, if someone asks you to have sex, you to be able to stay in the community, you had to always agree. So Rajneesh borrowed that from Rice, and what happened? AIDS became an epidemic in his community in Oregon. Everybody freaked out. And how did that happen? Is because at one time, in order to win elections and take over the city council in the town that they were in Oregon, they invited all kinds of homeless people to come and take residency in their town, in their ashram, and so they could have American voters to win every election in the town. This, of course, infuriated the town people. And but what did the homeless people do? They brought AIDS with them. So then they had an epidemic of AIDS in their community. So you see, these are all nonsense people. And eventually, so-called Bhagavan Rajneesh completely failed. When he completely failed, then he became a Buddhist and he called himself Osho. Because as Rajneesh, he wanted to be the richest, the most prominent person in the world, meaning be Bhagavan. When he failed to be Bhagavan, then he became a Buddhist and rejected everything. You see. So you go from one extreme to the other. And he failed as a Buddhist also. So eventually he died. Okay, so, all right, we'll stop right there. Are there any questions?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, my question is not related to today's class. Is it okay to ask now or I can wait later?
Good.
Yeah. Maharaj, a few days back we talked about heart, mind and soul and how Paramatma is situated on the heart. Can you talk a little bit more about that topic or share some references where I can learn more?
Well, Paramatma is in the heart. You were talking about that, right?
Yeah, explanation of the heart, Maharaj, specifically. What is heart?
Well, it's the seat of all energies in the body. So that's why we have Bhagavad Gita. So let me just look at here. All the information about Paramatma is in the Bhagavad Gita. So you look up Super Soul in the index of Bhagavad Gita. And you're going to find a huge amount of information. Okay?
Yeah, I found it. Yeah.
So then you just go and look at all of those different references.
Yeah.
And you'll understand everything about Paramatma.
Okay, Maharaj.
Okay? Any other questions? All right, we'll stop right there. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. This is a question regarding art of living.
Yes.
Their philosophies, they teach you should be through breathing techniques and all. They will tell us you can breathing techniques, breathing.
Yes, yes.
And
Pranayama.
meditation, and they call it as yoga, and they publicize, and it's very popular. What is the reason it's so popular? Because they call it as a yoga, and a lot of people go there actually. They say that it's art of living, you should live to the fullest extent and something like that. That's something they call Sudarshan Kriya.
Yeah, well, it's all about the body. So they are trying to develop what's called well-being. So if you go to a naturopathic doctor, he also talks about well-being. You go to these different spas, they also talk about well-being. Right? So controlling the air will make you healthy, no doubt about it. However, you'll still die. You'll still get old and die. So it's not really the solution to the problem. Now, do they talk? I know they do bhajans, but do they actually talk about Krishna? Do you know?
They pray all gods, Maharaj, and they never say one god is they never keep one god in center. They say all god. Sometimes
Are
they
you
sing.
sure about that? Have you gone to their programs?
One of my friend, not now, maybe 10 years back, they called me, and I attend one session there.
So what did you hear?
It's they talk generally, and they focus more on the breathing techniques, and that's where they say that if you do these breathing techniques every day, your mind will be calm, and you can able to manage your life better. That's what they say.
Does that sound like it's spiritual? It's about basically if you go to a naturopathic doctor, they'll do the same thing. They'll give you different exercises so that your health will be good, and but that doesn't solve the problem of birth, death, old age, and disease. Okay. So it's just like this. Let's say you have a boil on your hand, and it's red hot, right? So if you go like this, it gives you a little bit of relief, you know. You're blowing a little air on the boil. It gives you a little bit of relief. Does that solve the problem? No. So what they're doing is making you feel good. But that's not going to necessarily solve the problem of birth, death, old age, and disease. So whether you are third-class prisoner or second-class prisoner or first-class prisoner, you're still prisoner. So if you look at the verses we read this morning, take a good look at them right now. We read 4 verses. See what Brahma is saying. Let's read it real quick. What is Brahma saying? Go ahead.
Want me to read some of the?
Yeah, real quick. Hold the microphone closer to your mouth.
Yeah, so I'm in the 3rd verse, and Brahma in the first line says, "O my Lord, I do not see a form superior to your present form of eternal bliss and knowledge. In your impersonal Brahman effulgence in the spiritual sky, there is no occasional change and no deterioration of internal potency. I surrender unto you because whereas I am proud of my material body and senses, your Lordship is the cause of the cosmic manifestation, and yet you are untouched by matter." That's like the 3rd verse. I'll just quickly do the first one. Lord Brahma said, "O my Lord, today after many, many years of penance, I have come to know about you. Oh, how unfortunate the embodied living entities are that they are unable to know your personality. My Lord, you are the only knowable object because there is nothing supreme beyond you. If there is anything supposedly superior to you, it is not the absolute. You exist as the supreme by exhibiting the creative energy of matter."
Are they talking like that in the Art of the Living? No. There's a huge difference. You say, Brahma is actually experiencing Krishna, and he's seeing how unfortunate most people are. So the people who are going for feeling good, they're being misled. There is some benefit in controlling the breathing, of course. It's a Vedic, pranayama is a bona fide thing. But that's not the ultimate purpose of life. It's something that might help you be healthier so you can focus more on spiritual life. But it's not the purpose of spiritual life. Okay?
And also, Ravi Shankar actually believes in. One of the lecture, Ravi Shankar talks about soul.
Who?
And soul. Ravi Shankar
Yeah.
talks about soul, but he compares the soul to electricity. It says that electricity cannot be seen, something like that. That's what he gives the example to everyone. Because somebody asked question about whether you believe it on
Okay,
soul.
did Krishna ever say that the soul is like electricity?
No, Maharaj.
So then just ignore what he says. That's his speculation. Say electricity. Is electricity a person? Huh?
No, he gives the example that soul is everywhere, like that electricity you cannot see.
Soul is energy. So
Energy.
they acknowledge soul, but they don't do anything in order to purify.
But soul is person.
Yeah, they never.
It's not energy. See, they're only interested in energy. They're not interested in person. So they are Mayavadis. That's Mayavad philosophy. You were tricked by the cleverness of. Oh, they're very tricky.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I need some guidance here, Maharaj. Somebody tweeted this today. He's not a close friend, but I know him. I felt like I want to help him, but I don't know how, so I thought I will get your guidance. He tweeted saying he's a cancer survivor himself, and I think he went for his treatment. So he said, it's sad seeing so many children suffering with cancer when I go in for my regular cancer screening. Really reminds you of how unfair life is.
In other words, how unfair God is.
But he won't say God. I think he's an atheist. If somebody is feeling like that, who's going through a lot of pain himself and he's seeing a lot of suffering around, is there anything I can do? I mean, I was wondering if there is a book I can, just as a perspective. No guarantee that he'll read it, but I felt like I should do something.
Gita. That has all the answers in it. But he would have to have the patience to listen. So this is very interesting. See, everything the Mayavadis do is based on energy. It's not based on personality. So he's a Mayavadi. There's no doubt about it. But that doesn't stop him from talking about Krishna sometimes or chanting some Krishna bhajans. Right.
Attract people. To attract all the folks who
Attract the money.
They want to be inclusive. They'll include all gods.
And that's how all the gurus have proliferated in India, right?
You know, by the way, his guru was Mahesh Yogi, right? Yeah.
With the universities and all, is that
No, Mahesh Yogi was his guru, Ravi Shankar's guru.
you don't know the lineage. No,
What?
I don't know that part. He probably is self-proclaimed guru.
No, he was a disciple of Mahesh Yogi.
The transcendental meditation. This guy is pranayama.
He split off.
Yeah. His own idea.
No, but he was a disciple of Mahesh Yogi. You can look it up. See?
He was the apprentice under Maharshi Mahesh Yogi.
You see, you guys all are an illusion. You can get rid of all this illusion by coming to the class. Yeah, and he built his own kitchery up from the kitchery he heard. But his guru was the guru of the Beatles, right? But then his guru got involved sexually with this one movie star. That's when the Beatles sort of stayed away from him. So that was his guru. Right? So you see, this is the thing that there's the failures is every time about sex with all these big guys. And we'll see about Sadhguru, I don't know. Maybe he's smarter than the others, I don't know. But the philosophy of all these people is Mayavad philosophy. Sadhguru is a huge Mayavadi. And we can tell, the soul is like electricity. That's nonsense. He's another Mayavadi. But see, if you don't come to class, you would never be able to figure it out. because they're very subtle. They're very, very, what you would call cute and very, huh? Yeah. Yeah.
I think they
Yeah.
all make you feel good about yourself, Maharaj.
We should all feel good about Krishna. Right. Anyway, we'll stop right there and we'll discuss this some more. Now, you see, when you're hearing what Brahma says, now you're hearing the truth. Now you can compare that with what all the phonies are saying. And you'll see there's a huge difference. But of course, most people don't come to class, so they don't learn these things. I mean, you've been coming to class, right? Now, you asked the question today. Now, for many years, you've been carrying that question. Today, you got it answered. If you don't come to class, you could carry that question right up to the moment of death. Haribol. All glory to Prabhupada. We can make a new club in the temple, you know. Those devotees who never come to class. They can have classes of their own. Why they don't come to class, you know. Okay. You can have this one.
Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma Shri Guru वो बोर्ड लेना बंदो मुई सावधान माते बंदो मुई सावधान बंदो मुई सावधान माते बंदो मुई जहर प्रसादे भाई ए भवतुरिया जाए जहर कृष्ण प्राप्ति हो जहाँ होइते गुरुमुख पद्म वाक्य चिते ते कुरिया गुरुमुख और ना करी हो मने आशा और ना करी हो मने श्री गुरु चरणे रति ऐसे उत्तम गति श्री गुरु जे प्रसादे पूरे सर्व आशा जे प्रसादे पूरे सर्व आशा जे प्रसादे पूरे सर्व चक्षुदान दिलो जे जन्मे दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशितो प्रेम भक्ति जहा होइते अविद्या विनाश जते जहा होइते अविद्या विनाश जते वेद गाय जहर चरितो श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आदम जनर बंधु गुरु करुणा सिंधु आदम जनर बंधु लोकनाथ लोकेर जीवाना लोकनाथ लोकेर जीवाना हा प्रभु कोरो दया देह मोरे पद छया हा प्रभु कोरो दया देहो मोरे पद छया प्रभु को दया देहो मोरे एबे जज घुषुक त्रिभुवाना प्रभु पादो इलो शरणा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा देवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णा प्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने नमः भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Hare Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Hare Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Ramo 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Yeah.